Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. My name is DZ. You can catch me at NFT Alpha Show. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about your favorite topics. And today we're doing it with the best panel we've ever had in the history of the show, period, point blank. No contention on that issue for sure. We're going to get right into it. On that top right, he stays above the fray when they're trying to sling that mud. That's right. You know we're talking about that CryptoBlood. Then on the bottom right, when the markets are looking red, you know, things get a little scary. But don't worry, because he's going to stay calm, because, you know, it's Steve McGarry. Then on the bottom left, he's the Larry Bird of trading. He's always showing love. He's never hating. We're talking about Crypto Lifer 33. Then on the top left, when it comes to freedom, he refuses to roll the dice. That's right. You know, we're talking about my friend RiceTVX, that is. And we're going to be talking about Circle Bank. We're going to be talking about Avalanche Labs, you know, a $5.25 billion raise. Serious money maybe flowing into the Avalanche ecosystem. And Elon Musk, we got to talk about Elon Musk possibly trying to just outright take over Twitter, trying to buy it outright. So serious things. But before we get into that, it is time for us to check out this crypto market. It is looking a little bit scarier than it was yesterday. Yesterday, you know, we had pumped above 41. We had ETH above 31. Right now, they're kind of testing those levels of that 40,000 and that 3,000. We refresh. It looks like ETH is trying to fight, trying to stay above 3,000. It's not going to look easy. Bitcoin, the corn, is trying to get close to 40, less than $100 away, only $87 away. Crypto Lifer, I know you were just talking. You're staying up all night. You're looking at the charts. You're sleeping good while the sun's out, I guess. What is going on with the Bitcoin charts? I mean, was that just a scam pump yesterday? I mean, is this, you know, looking like we haven't broke through the resistance yet?
Well, let me show you. I got three quick charts that I can like really blaze through real quick, but still give you guys exactly what's happening. Now, number one, the daily wants to push to the upside, and I'm a probability guy. Look, 1, 2, 3 times we've pumped three times in a row, and you can go all the way back 16 times, and you'll probably catch 14 pumps. Very, very probable that we will pump up. How high is the question? So right now I am bullish on the daily pumping to the upside. However, 4 hours been looming for us for a while. Can it curve? Sometimes you'll see a stochastics won't make it to the bottom. A stochastics RSI won't make it to the bottom if the time frame before it is pinning. That tells me that we may be hitting a bottom here. Also, I zoom into 15 minutes to look for my divergences. I have that occurring right now. There is a strong bullish divergence on the 15-minute. That's a swing to the downside here, but a swing to the upside on the RSI. Let me also bring my stochastics RSI up. I remember that now. So another thing is this. Let's look at the weekly. Everyone right now, if you're watching a lot of YouTubers, they're going to tell you about, or the monthly even, this monthly MACD cross. Okay, they're going to talk about this monthly MACD cross and tell you it's only happened 3 times. This is horrible. We are very low on the stochastics. I'll tell you one thing. I've been trading with stochastics and MACD for 5 years. The stochastics will out-trump the MACD 90% of the time. If the stochastics tell you they're going to come down, or they come up and the MACD is pushing, the price will pump up. Stochastics trump MACD. So that doesn't stress me too much. Also, everyone keeps talking about the weekly. The weekly, it has a bearish cross on the stochastics. I get it. We have lack of bullish momentum here. Totally understand that. But look at the last time that happened. We had this little dip that was just our correction to the 21, and we were gone. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that's the end of the world. However, it is caution. What I'm looking at right now is the 2-week. No one's talking about it. No one's bringing it up. Look at this. Low on the 2-week here. Nice pump from the bottom. Low on the 2-week here.
Lost your volume there.
Yep. Still got me?
We got you until low on the 2-week here.
Low on the 2-week here?
Nope.
We're good now?
Might be you might have to sign the rest of it.
Oh, we're lost all the way?
Oh, wait. No. Yeah, you're good to go.
Oh, you're here. I'm good. Yeah. So here,
we're show's over.
Here.
Yep, we're done.
Low on the weekly here.
We're done.
Low on the weekly there was a bounce. This is like the 4th time in a row the 2-week chart was this low. Also, one last thing I want to show before I jump out of here is there is hidden bullish divergence on the 2-week chart. That's a swing up to a swing up, and that's a swing down to a swing down. People love my show because I see things that a lot of other traders don't. I spend hours and hours in the chart today. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. So yeah, there is some bearish times. I want to see how this daily pulls out. I want to give this daily some space. It looks like we are at the bottom of this bigger triangle. So we'll take it from there. Let me straighten it up. We'll take it from there. But that trend line needs to hold there. This area right here needs to hold around 39,000. We break 39,000, We're testing a wick to 38s, and we start going down there. You break this market structure, and then that whole story really doesn't play out again. So we really need to stay inside this pattern. Yep.
You know, I always feel a little more bullish after I talk to you, and it's not because you're a moon boy. It's like you said, you find those little hidden, I don't know, hidden gems inside the charts that, you know, maybe not.
I am not a moon boy. Like,
yeah,
we could go down to 7K. We could go to 7K.
All right. Now I don't like you. I don't like you anymore. You just said single digits 7K. Bitcoin. I don't like you anymore. You know what? If you would have said we'd go down to 20 you know what?
Like, can we
look? This is my most
21st.
There's one. I'll give you one. This is the bearish chart, real quick, and I'm done because I know we got to run it.
Oh God,
quicker. This is the bearish. The most bearish scenario here is 7,500, 8,000.
I had to
probably
poke
like
the
we're
bear.
going to come here to
Again,
28.
the negative points
That's
here.
the worst case because
28.
that is
All right. All right, well, let's talk a little Circle. Let's talk a little Circle Bank. Of course, Circle is behind the USDC coin. They're just trying to basically branch out into a bank. They want to be a banking entity, so they're filling out the paperwork. They're raising money for it. They intentions to go public through a merger, through a SPAC, which is a special acquisitions company, giving it a potential value of $9 billion. USDC's market cap is around 50 billion in USDC. Floating around there is 50.32 billion of those tokens floating around. Now, Rice, when it comes to, Circle, say they become a bank, there's going to be more regulators, breathing down their neck. There's going to be more laws that they're going to have to abide by. Are you worried about any kind of, data collection or data harvesting? Maybe USDC Circle giving information to the IRS on certain wallets past a certain amount. Do you see data concerns here at all?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, so when you look at USDC and you look at Circle, Circle is backed by Goldman Sachs. You also got to look at some of the people who were involved with Goldman Sachs years ago, namely Steve Mnuchin and One West Bank crew, which would include Joseph Otting and Brian Brooks, both of which have become the comptrollers of the United States under the Treasury. But when Otting was the comptroller, Brian Brooks was the CEO or the chief legal officer at Coinbase. And one of his biggest things that he was working on was USDC and the roadmap of USDC. And back in 2019, Jerome Powell, in addition to Brian Brooks in a lot of interviews, was talking about the private sector leading the way when it comes to digital currency for the United States, as opposed to a CBDC. And so that had been kind of already been playing in place. So USDC is the most audited one-for-one backed stablecoin. It is definitely the best stablecoin when it comes to being a stablecoin, but it is backed by Goldman Sachs. So people need to keep all that in mind. So when you're dealing with Coinbase, Goldman Sachs, we know that information is being reported back. So of course, and that's what the regulatory compliance is trying to push towards, is collection of information. I mean, ultimately, they want us to be sending funds from an identified wallet, so that way they know what's going on, because you're seeing an increase in employment with IRS. But for the fact that Circle is trying to become a bank does not surprise me at all. This has been happening for quite some time. A lot of entities in crypto have been doing this. Even Coinbase was trying to do this, and we're kind of shut down, but they've got their Coinbase credit card or their Coinbase card. So it's really interesting when you start looking at what's happening. But yeah, data collection is definitely something people need to be paying attention to. Privacy is something that is going to be a topic that people need to definitely be putting a lot of attention to today, especially with all the censorship and all the other stuff going on.
Yeah, we got Remy in the chat saying IRS is now airdropping an audit token in your wallet right now. Probably not that far from reality here.
Good one.
Now, CryptoBlood, as Rice said, this is backed by Coinbase. This is backed by Goldman Sachs. Is this going to get anybody, that's kind of been staying on the sidelines because they're not really sure, I don't really get this crypto thing. I feel like it's going to, maybe get regulated away. Now that they see, Goldman Sachs backing some crypto assets here, do you think that's going to maybe flip some people to the other side?
I'm sure. But I remember the Circle platform. I don't know. Some of my OGs remember this. Steve probably does. Circle was like
Circle Invest,
right? Yeah, no, they were right before Coinbase or right after. I can't remember, but they were early in the game. And so they've been positioning themselves for quite some time. I'm talking about 2014, 13. And I think that as Rice talks about, you have to be careful with these stable coins. I told you, DZ, I've said this on the show before. We are going to see stable coins trump the market cap of Bitcoin in the next 2 to 5 years. I would say 2 to 3 years, honestly. It's going to be the biggest market cap asset in cryptos very soon. And this is a great avenue for the IRS and all these other agencies, alphabet boys, to really start tracking you if you're not going to use their own, central bank digital dollar. So yeah, it's coming, man, and it's nothing really we could do about it. I just want to warn people: USDC and USDT your wallets can be frozen through their smart contracts. Keep that in mind. A lot of people don't understand that all of your funds can be frozen through their smart contract. It is a centralized programmable failure.
Yeah, very centralized. That's why a lot of people, UST, looking at UST, looking to die. Now, Steve, let's kind of bring up, the fact that, there could be a little scaring away here, like with this over-regulation, as USDC gets more and more backers. Do you think that the OG crypto crowd is going to maybe reject it even more instead of embracing it? Is this going to push more people to UST, more people to USDT because of the big institutions behind it?
Yeah, I think that the OG crowd, like Blood mentioned, Circle's been around for a long time coming, making their case for this. So I do think that the OG crowd will go towards Tether and kind of choose that one over USDC. But for the traditional, investors out there, with 7% that BlockFi and some of these platforms are offering to just park their stable coins on. I mean, I know that the OG crowd gets upset around the privacy, and I get that, totally understand that. And there's a place for, both crowds, I think. But ultimately, the traditional bankers, I just raised a round of funding and every single investor was only going to use USDC, nothing else. So I think that there is something to, what Blood said about it's going to surpass Bitcoin. I agree with that. I think it's going to be one of the most sought after markets because it gives you access to everything outside of the traditional market. And with 7%, I remind people of that. These platforms are trying to get you to bring and park your stable coins so much that they're offering these extremely high APYs. And it's such an impressive offering.
Yeah, but
privacy is going to be
Celsius shut down. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. It's unfortunate, but a lot of that is affecting the bond market, which is our debt market. And right now we're at the end of this complete cycle. So what's happened with Celsius should indicate a lot of what's going to be happening here in the United States, unfortunately.
Do you see that happening, Steve? Do you think there'll be more, basically clamping down on some of this, nice yield that a lot of these platforms are trying to give?
Yeah, so BlockFi just put out a statement that said that all new BIA accounts or interest-bearing accounts are like deactivated, basically. Like you had to move it into a wallet for a while, and then the wallet would then move over into an interest-bearing account. But then they just said, hey, we're basically just going to cease new accounts. Everybody after February 1st or something like that has to stop. So I'm assuming it is a slow rolling destructive snowball like Rice was talking about, with Celsius shutting down. Something's going on with the regulators in the background saying like, hey, this is not a good idea. But for the time being, I think BlockFi is still offering it. Are there other platforms that are doing it, Rice? Or have you seen?
I mean, there are, but it's a very careful line, unfortunately, right now because of, now what happened with Celsius. Because I talked with Alex Mashinsky at Decentral, and that was at the very end of November, beginning of December, and he didn't think this was even going to be an issue. It was a state-by-state basis that was happening, and then now it just happened on a complete federal level.
Yeah, now we have the SEC playing that Warren G, because these regulators are definitely trying to mount up. But let's move on to Ava Labs right now, and shout out to Warren G, Cosimo D'Amici, getting into the Cardano NFT ecosystem, by the way. So it's always good to see. All right, let's talk a little Avalanche here. We got Avalanche. They're in the midst of a raising funding round, putting its valuation above $5 billion. Just for reference, they did a funding round in 2018, where they only raised 6 million. This raise is going to raise 350 million. So we're looking at, basically a 50x, more than a 50x here as far as the raising. It's Three Arrows Capital, Polychain, some people coming into this. Right now, it's one of the top Ethereum virtual machine compatible DeFi platforms right now. I think it passes all other EVM smart contract platforms combined when it comes to total value locked, of course, not including Ethereum. And now, its valuations going up. They just had a Gemini consensus funding round. So Avalanche making some very, very serious moves, maybe trying to keep up with Terra Labs here. Now, let's talk about the charts. Lifer, I know you're dying to talk some Avalanche. We had Gareth on Monday, and we were talking about Avalanche. Looking at it, I think it came pretty close to 70. I think we're above 80 right now. I'd have to look at coin market cap. I think it's around 82 ish.
Well,
what are the
one
charts
thing, too,
looking like for Avalanche?
everyone
77
knows
to
me as a chart-
77.
Yeah, everyone knows me as a chart guy, but what differentiates me from just being a chart guy is I'm a DeFi guy and I research, right? And I'm a multi-chain man. And if you don't have multi-chain, I'm not about you. And right now, Solana, Harmony, Moonbeam, Polygon, Milkomeda, Cardano, and DFC Chain, those are all addresses for your Avalanche coin. Avalanche can be really, really spread across multi-chains. This is a trade that I recently opened. We took 33% gains right here. It was an easy bull flag, pop to the upside, nothing too big. This is what's called a retest. You come back down and you retest the top trend line. That's what's happening right now with a lack of bearish momentum. Highly likely there's actually an entry right here, not financial advice, but based on what the chart conveys, there's an entry right here around here. Looks like we're hitting possibly close to a bottom. We're also touching the 200-day moving average. That in succession, when you have that, it's called confluence with this low stochastics pointing up to the upside. Again, we're all worried about these, and even the 4-hour has been high for a lot of coins, but it's coming down. I like AVAX for really anything. If you can get AVAX between 68 and 72 in my mind, that's a steal. I see it going up right here to the measured move to 174 and probably not too much longer from now. I remember Arcane Bear put it on. I got in at 13. So shout out to Arcane Bear, man. And I just want to say thank you to everyone on BitBoy for having me here. And go to my channel, Crypto Lifer, go to Rice's channel, go to CryptoBlood and Steve McGarry. Check us all out. I really appreciate you guys putting us on.
All right. And, I'm glad you brought up the multiple chains. Rice, I kind of want to ask you on that. It's compatible, all these different chains. You can have it in all these different wallets, all these different DeFi platforms. Is having multiple blockchains going to be the future of crypto? Or do you think that will consolidate to a 2 or a 3 like we see in so many other industries?
I mean, that would really depend on what projects are still maintaining and basically keeping their market share. But I definitely see the future as being multi-chain and cross-chain. And I definitely see that the more that we see communication between the blockchains via oracles and things like that, the more successful these projects are going to be because it gives people choice. That's the one thing that I think that we as humans like, is having choices and not being stuck and having to use whatever is being accepted. So in this opportunity, it still keeps these different blockchains relevant and alive and allows for that cross-chain implementation. When you look at things like I think it's Thorchain that's doing the cross-chain swaps, and also Komodo was doing things like that. I mean, those are very powerful things when you think about that, when it comes to that. Now, also when it comes to funding, this is something that you're going to see a lot more companies doing, receiving this kind of funding because the legacy system and investors are wanting to get into the crypto markets. And also for these projects to be able to build, having additional funding helps. And on the flip side, Avalanche also has their foundation, which the Avalanche Foundation is looking to push out incentives and help fund projects to build the ecosystem, build what they're calling the growth of subnets to accelerate that growth. So in order to be able to have foundations that are allowing for funds to be given out to incentivize growth, it also makes sense that you're going to have funding that's going to add additional liquidity to the company as a whole. But that will also show you more about how centralized some of these entities are, because if they can go into funding rounds, there's obviously centralization involved. And that's something that people need to take in fact, because when we're dealing with like Ethereum competitors, the big thing is the blockchain trilemma of keeping that security, that decentralization, and maintaining that speed. And usually what happens is a project will sacrifice that. And usually what ends up getting sacrificed is the decentralization aspect. And you find that a lot of these projects are a lot more centralized than they say. And that allows for these faster throughputs that they're having, because Avalanche does claim to be the fastest smart contract platform out there.
All right. Well, let's talk about some, you brought up L1s. We have these competing industries. We have, Avalanche competing with, all these other Solana, for instance. And like you said, there's a little bit of give and take with the trilemma there. Now, Steve, when it comes specifically to the L1s trying to compete with Ethereum, do you feel that, maybe the price is based a little too much on speculation and hype? Are we kind of approaching maybe a .com bubble type situation when it comes to these, maybe not so much Avalanche, but some of these lesser proven L1s?
Yeah, good question. I think that, Cardano. The really fascinating thing about L1s is that everybody's working together. It's like a cohesive effort. And a lot of like the ride or die Bitcoiners and stuff like that miss, what Crypto Lifer was talking about as a multi-chain man, really focusing on everybody working together to innovate and move the needle. And with Avalanche making big moves, raising big rounds like this, I think I saw a stat that said that it was something like 10 to 15% of businesses entirely in crypto actually generate cash flow as a business. The rest basically all rely on the price of their token as like their model of generating money, which will change eventually in the future. But it is really cool to see all these L1s innovating, putting out these really clever models, and ultimately the market will prove itself. Blood, Rice, and Lifer, you guys have been around for a long time and seen a lot of projects come and go. I know, Blood, you were big into EOS. A lot of these projects just have this meteoric rise, and then the market decides what's going to happen.
Shout out to the market.
So we will, we will see. We will see.
Now, Blood, when it comes to some of these, different these different projects, they're fighting over the same pie. 5-10 years from now, we know Ethereum's taking a large chunk. I heard you mention Cardano. Is there enough pie to go around for some of these competing, blockchains? Are these L1 competitors going to be around in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Or will they be around kind of in a diminished capacity? Like I remember when, and maybe one day it'll be big again.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's definitely enough room for more than one L1. So you'll see multiple ones. They all have their pros, right? And what you can use them for. So you'll see that, especially with, you're seeing VC, private equity get into this game now with Avalanche. That's great. I mean, I love seeing that. I think Avalanche is undervalued, as far as their coin and market cap. They're at what, 20 billion? I mean, they're doing a lot technically on their blockchain that should warrant a little bit more price. But the markets are still young. They're trying to really figure out and price things correctly, and so that's where we are with things. But one thing that was not mentioned, so they raised since 2019 like over 550 million. So that gives them like a 10x multiple. So puts them around 5.5 billion. But what's interesting, DZ, is that the Avalanche Multiverse program, they're setting aside 312 million. And it's interesting because Hedera Hashgraph set aside $250 million for something very similar. They're doing a metaverse program as well. So I think you're seeing, and people should really be paying attention to what they're allocating funds towards. The metaverse, man, is the future. People should really start looking into how they can get in where they fit in, because that is where you're going to make the next, I think, 100x. Owning these coins and just waiting for them to go up. Look, alpha over time is going to get smaller and smaller. So you got to start doing a little bit more research and getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and as we always say, time in the market will trump money in the market, if you just zoom out long enough. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little Elon Musk before we run out of time. We have a nice picture of Elon in the wild right here, but that's not it, BJ. Come on now. I guess everybody thinks he's no, maybe a picture of John Connor, but he's not a cyborg. All right, yeah, CEO Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk. He's trying to launch a $43 billion hostile takeover of Twitter. You know, there's a lot of rumors going around when he rejected the board seat. Will he try to do a hostile takeover? It looks like it was confirmed today. A lot of people are like saying, I haven't seen Elon tweet in 3 days. He only does this when he's building on something major. Sure enough, this announcement came out. You know, the reviews are mixed. A lot of people seem to be against it. I think he will make it more free speech oriented, but that's just my 2 cents. You know, I'm just a guy who talks about pictures of monkeys here, but he's offering $54 per share, you know, well above where it's trading at now. It seemed like just before we went live, the Saudis have a decent amount of Twitter. I want to say it's around 3%, 2.9%. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure it's probably even more than what they're disclosing. And they're saying they're against it. So we're seeing, you know, 2 sides of this, you know, whether or not the Saudis are for free speech. That's another debate for another episode here. But Lifer, do you think that this takeover of Twitter is going to be a good thing for the Twitter users, the Twitter investors? Is it good for, you know, Elon Musk? What's your take on this whole situation here?
You know, as a kid, I never liked bullies. And whenever I saw someone getting bullied, I threw myself right in the mix, you know? And to me, you know, this country was built on free speech. And when you subdue free speech, you're a bully. And so I think bullies need to be we need to stand up to bullies, you know? And I think this is just, you know, a regular citizen that became the richest man in the world. And he's realizing, you know what? I could take control of the situation with my money. And I can buy out, you know, free speech. What happened the last year or two on Twitter was disgusting for America. I have to say, I'm not even going to mention it because we probably can't, but it was disgusting for me to watch. I didn't even want to be a part of it. So what I'm seeing right now with Elon Musk doing this, I'm actually all about it. Also, one last quick thing is Sammy Cup and Handy. Twitter is in a giant cup and handle. Like it really is. Look at this. It's in a giant cup and handle. Look at that. I mean, show me the charts.
Those who don't know, you know, if you want to break through how the bottom of the cup to the top of cup, off the bottom of the handle, just a quick 5-10 second. How do you read a cup and handle for those who don't know?
Well, most people, honestly, I don't do what traditional people do. See, I went against the grain. Most people will take this top and go flat bottom. I don't do that. I started doing untraditional measured moves. I started taking the wick of this top to the next wick secondary to either the middle or sometimes the secondary wick. I backtested all my theories on my own. I don't do what everyone else does. This tells me that we're going to get somewhere up to here. It will give you the general area as the other one. They'll both, but it's usually about a 40 to 50% gain out of a cup and handle. This one is suggesting a move of 57% to $71 for Twitter.
Okay. And you know what? For what it's worth, I echo your sentiments. When it's what has happened to the tech industries over the past couple of years is disgusting. You know, I can't help but open my laptop.
Thank you.
And I'm just biding my time until, you know, I'm just, you know, before something gets deleted, if you know what I'm saying. All right.
I love it.
All right. Now, Rice, what are some of the specific issues you would like to see addressed with this? I mean, is there anything besides the free speech, or is, you know, that just enough of, you know, what maybe needs to change in your opinion?
Well, I'm definitely all for that edit button. There's been so many times that I've had to delete tweets and basically repost it with the correct spelling or some sort of grammar mistake that I've made. But all jokes aside, I mean, free speech is something that we definitely need to be paying attention to. And I do appreciate Elon Musk bringing that attention. Now, unfortunately, when we're dealing with these companies, it doesn't really matter because there's already been some court cases setting precedents that these are private companies and that they're not bound by the First Amendment, regardless of their in the United States or not. So now, with that being said, I mean, there are things that we can do to support free speech platforms. And that's what we really need to be doing and voicing our opinion a lot more than being afraid of what's going to happen on the repercussions of what we may or may not say. So I think it's really important that people take that in consideration. And also the most important thing about free speech that the most important thing to convey is the whole thing about free speech is you may hear speech that you don't like and agree with, but you need to tune out and just find ways to not listen to that free speech, because taking away other people's voices is ultimately just taking away your own voice. And eventually that's what we're going to be succumbing to. So now Elon Musk solely owning Twitter is not a good thing. For one, I mean, you have BlackRock and Vanguard owning a fair significant share in both SpaceX and Tesla. So maybe he needs to worry about his own backyard first. But again, bringing this attention is a good thing. We are in a battle of free speech. And as you can see, Twitter has become the public square. So they do not want it to be a platform that allows free speech. They want to be able to control the narrative, and they will continue to do so on platforms, not only like Twitter, but Facebook, as we have seen. I mean, they're directing the narrative, and they're getting rid of people who aren't matching up with that narrative. And it's just really sad, and people need to stand up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, Steve, when it comes to this, how likely do you think it is that Elon Musk actually will make a deal? And, on top of that, will the board, when they're considering whether or not to accept this deal, do you think they're just considering the monetary aspects?
Yeah, so zooming out, this was a very strategic move that happens on Wall Street quite a lot, where what happened was he made a big investment. He got up to, I think it was 9% share. That was his leverage. So then he went back and said, hey, actually, if I don't get to buy the company, I'm out. And then they're exposed to losing 9%, potentially dumped out onto the market if he actually fulfilled on his demands. But I think that is a very textbook example of coming in and putting leverage on the table and saying, I want to buy out everything that's going on here. And zooming out, I think, like Rice said, one person owning all of a company is a bad thing. But ultimately, he's all about free speech. And I think that he has really mastered the art of, trolling and everything. He understands it. So if anybody's going to own it, I think someone who actually uses it and understands the value of, this open square where people can communicate, and the fact that he did this sort of leverage takeover move is pretty amazing. I like watching that type of thing from somebody like Musk, just because he can flex and people just buy more Doge to support him pretty much.
Well, let's real quick. Let's piggyback on that.
Add something real quick, just super quick.
Go ahead.
Super quick. Trump. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't necessarily huge on Trump, but bringing back Trump to Twitter and reinstating the accounts of people who have been deleted because of issues of censorship would be a big step.
Yeah. Some have gotten their platform back. Obviously, not Trump. And love him or hate him, I think you could say, especially since he doesn't have his finger near the red button, I think everybody can admit it's gonna be more entertaining if he's on there. I think everybody can love him or hate him. Oh, go ahead, Blood.
Yeah, what Steve was saying about that, I mean, the free speech angle, that's all great, but really that is what it's all about. It was all about him positioning and getting himself in there at 9% of the company, going out saying he wants to go ahead and buy out the floating shares. That will pump the price, right? Because it's not going to happen at the price that he's trying to acquire it at. I think it's like $55, $54 a share. It's too low. The board is not going to let that happen. But I think it was a strategic move for him to try to pump the price of Twitter up a bit in the meantime.
Okay.
So that's what it was all about.
Can we throw up the actual picture of Elon as we go out of the episode here, BJ?
That
can
was
we
the
please
actual
throw this
picture.
up?
Did you hear?
Show me a solid here.
I don't see it.
Okay, well, he's not going to do it. Thank you, BJ, really coming through and not making it awkward. All right. Well, you're looking at the wrong thing.
As well. Did you guys hear that they were suing Musk because he pumped the price, or he announced it later? Right. And people, did you hear about that?
And
they were
people don't forget. He tried to do this with Tesla as well. He tried to take Tesla back private at $420. Yeah. So this is nothing new for him.
And 69 cents. Musk. But all right, that is all we got time for today. And it was actually a really, really close one here. I was about to give Blood a final point there at the end, but then, you're still going to be at 17.
Come on, man.
Lifer, it looks like you won. You squeaked by. You know what it was? It was the cup and handle. You gave us, I thought you were going to teach me, the regular way or repeat what I've known, but you showed us a new way, just like you always do. So, Crypto Lifer, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
The people I love in life the most are people that master a craft and then do it their own way. You know what I'm saying? To me, that is success and that is perfection. So, and you can't do it your own way unless you put in the time, First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone that came out. I want to say thank you to everyone in the comments. I seen Crypto Face out there. I see you, Face. I just want to say thank you to all my lifers. Thank you to you having us all here on this channel. And everybody, at the end of the day, I truly believe Bitcoin will be over $1 million a coin, probably 2027, 2030, may even be even higher. I stack my sats every single day. I just keep buying it, baby. Yeah, I wait for the fear to get really, 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 really low or high, whatever you want to call it. But I want that fear index down at 10, 20, and I get excited and I start eating up those sats. So eat up your sats. Stay healthy. See you on the
Eat
next
up your
one.
sats, drink up the blood, you know, do all the things. That's all we got time for today, BitSquad. And
Don't
still
drink my
next time,
blood.
make sure to check out Frankie Candle's
Drink
Meta
crypto
Money
blood.
and NFT Alpha Show.